Hey YouTube, it is Lucy. I had my biopsy done today. For those who do not know, I did have another one done down here last week. I should actually get the results of that back sometime soon. This one went okay. I met the doctor for the first time and I had a really great experience. Most of y'all know that I'm not too keen on going to the doctor's office, and it just, I don't know, it's tough for me. I know some people are like, it's a doctor, it's not that big of a deal. And it's just, I don't know. It is for me. I went in and I had a really great experience, and that meant a lot to me. The endocrinologist I saw for the second time today, which, like I said, I had my biopsy done. I see another one this Friday, which is my second opinion. I think it's always really good, especially with things like this, to always have a second opinion. It's not the first time we've done something like this. We do it with our kids all the time. It's kind of nice with things that you don't know a lot about, or anything about for that matter, to always go and get that second opinion so you can kind of go back and forth, because I have found more often than not, or in our experience, 100% of the time, you hear something new from the second opinion and you're like, and you can kind of bounce the two back and forth and compare. And I don't know, I feel more educated in the end and more confident in the decision that we ultimately make. I will be seeing a second one on Friday, and I am hopeful that that experience will go well. The doctor that I have been seeing is nice. He's blunt. Most people, I feel like they would say he probably does not have the best bedside manner, but I like it. Again, I'm a little bit different than I think most people when it comes to doctors. He's very blunt. He's very short. He doesn't sugarcoat things, and I like that. I can appreciate it. Please tell me like it is. I don't want to be buttered up and just cut to the chase. I like him. I also don't get a whole lot of information from him, so the things that I don't really know anything about him, like, could you know, sometimes you just kind of have to ask him, can you share more on that? I went in for my biopsy kind of blind, essentially, because he didn't provide a lot of information the first appointment. When I got there, I felt more confident the more questions that I asked. And in a weird sense, because he didn't just give over a lot of information, it also made me feel calm, like, okay, like, this really is no big deal. It's, you know, this is in and it's out. I shouldn't be worried about it. But when I got up there on that table for my biopsy, I could feel my nerves. I could feel my nerves kicking in, and it even makes me a little bit teary-eyed right now. I was kind of caught off guard with those nerves, which was a little bit embarrassing, because like my teeth are chattering. They're just like constant, like I had no control over it. My body started to shiver, and then I just started getting like weird muscle twitches, and it was just like, ooh. I'm like, what is happening? And I think I was just at that point embarrassed because I couldn't control my nerves and my anxiety and what my body was doing. And he was like, are you okay? And I'm like, I swear I'm fine. This is just something that I do when I'm nervous and I'm anxious. And thank God it doesn't happen often, because like I said, it's super embarrassing. So I just had to keep reminding him, like, I swear I'm okay. I promise. I know that I guess I don't look like I am, but I promise I am. Just give me a minute and let me try to regain my composure, try to get control of my body again. For me, I think a lot of the anxiety was coming from him telling me you can't swallow. When somebody tells you you can't swallow, the only thing you want to do is swallow. It's like, just because you told me I can't, I want to now. And he was like, no deep breaths. So I'm like, that's all I want to do. I'm like, I'm holding my breath, and then I feel like I need to take a deep breath in response to holding my breath, and you're telling me I can't do that. It was just like this constant, don't do this, now I need to do it. I just made it a lot more worse than it probably was, just due to the nerves. He kept telling me to relax, and I'm like, at the time, like, once I could regain composure of my body, I genuinely felt relaxed as one could be. My shoulders were dropped and back on the table. I don't feel like I could have been more relaxed than I was in that time. But he was like, we're gonna have to do this 6 times, talking about the needle going in and out. He said it was like my mass is either on, attached, or under my muscle. I'm not sure. again, nerves. Whatever it was, it made it more difficult for him, he was saying. And the more tense I got, I guess the bigger my muscle got, or the more in the way it was becoming. It was painful. And I was like, dude, like I legit feel like I'm doing everything you asked me to do. So I don't know what else to do. It was like, well, if I have to go through the muscle, it's going to be a lot more painful. Well, I'm numb. Like I don't really feel the pain the first 3 times at least. After that, I could feel it. And it felt like each poke got progressively worse, which is what I told him. He was like, oh, that's weird. I don't know why. And I'm like, maybe your numbing is wearing off. And he was like, nope, that's not it. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know, but it's getting worse. He did tell me I could stop if I wanted to stop after the 4th one, but that he would prefer to get 6 just to make sure that we have enough cells, that the test does not come back inconclusive. So I was like, no, you know what? Go ahead. Just after each poke, my nerves would just come back. And it was just like, you have to give me a second. I'm sorry. I apologize. Just give me, 30 seconds, 45 seconds between each one and let me just regain my composure. And then I could hear the baby crying. Pace was in the room with me. So if I needed anything, she was there. And then Joel was outside with the other kids. And I could hear the baby crying at one point, and it made me feel very anxious. Like he was literally right outside the window. So I was like telling Payson, I was like, text dad and tell him to walk away from the window with the baby. Like right now, I can't do it. It was making me way more anxious than I need to be. I don't even know why I'm emotional. I don't. There's literally no reason that I'm aware of, at least. But for some reason, I am crying again. I don't know if it's postpartum hormones or what, but this time has just been rough, but not in a bad way. Like I've got the best baby. Some of my anxiety is back because of my own medical stuff, but I don't have like all that anxiety, that postpartum anxiety that I was carrying with the previous baby. So in that aspect, like it's been really great. I'm just emotional, and it's not necessarily a bad thing, but I'm definitely emotional, more emotional than previously. Joel walked away and things got a little bit better. I didn't hear the baby. He was grumpy. He was ready to go to bed. And I felt like I was having like mom guilt. Like I should be out there feeding my kid. He shouldn't have to be crying, waiting on me. A lot of this biopsy and thyroid stuff. Now I know why I'm emotional. A lot of it for me it's mom guilt. The endocrinologist last week told me that depending on the type of cancer, I may have to wean my baby now for treatment. And if it's papillary and it's slow growing, then, we can monitor it if I choose to do so until he weans, and then we can do treatment afterwards. And that once we do the treatment, that I wouldn't be able to breastfeed for a year after that. Most of y'all know I've vocalized it so many times. I didn't want to breastfeed this time. I wanted to pump, and I wanted to exclusively pump at that. My goal was to hybrid, but I knew that that was not a really realistic goal for me. There's a lot of things in my life that I am great at. Those things that I am not great at, I'm horrible at. Just as good as the things I'm great at, I am equally as bad at the things that I am bad at. And this is just one of those things, giving my baby a bottle, giving my baby pacifiers. I really thought I was going to be successful this time, and I wasn't. I failed at it. Well, I'm, still a little bit salty about that, but God works in mysterious ways. And I don't think I've put this out there on YouTube, but we did find out that with our son's syndrome, a lot of babies who share the same syndrome do not breastfeed successfully. They typically can have poor, my kids are outside playing, they typically can have poor muscle tone. I didn't know this. Nobody ever told me this during the pregnancy. All of the doctors that we talked to, not once was it ever brought up. When I found out after the fact my baby was breastfeeding, I was like, oh goodness, sorry, I keep swiping my notifications, but it worked out in the end. So I then became extremely grateful that it worked out the way that it did, because this means that he probably will not have speech issues. We've had children with speech issues. I struggle with speech myself, and I still have my own issues, which is probably where my kids get it from. Aren't we all a work in progress? Yeah, so all of a sudden I was super grateful, and I feel like it worked out the way that it did for a reason. And now I feel like if I have to wean him, that it's going to affect his quality of life, or it could affect his quality of life. And that's where that guilt comes in. I don't want to do that. I also found out that he is more prone to upper respiratory infections. We have had a few. Some of y'all may or may not know he was diagnosed with COVID and RSVB at the same time. With that said, while he tested positive, he had no signs of any illness. He wasn't sick, he wasn't coughing. Now, about a month before that test came back positive, he had been sick. He was congested. He was all the things, no fever, but just super congested and coughing up mucus and stuff like that. Did deal with that, but it was a month before we had that test come back positive. That was odd and bizarre, but he has tested positive for both of those, and he's had 2 minor colds in between. Luckily, one of those being right now. Luckily, neither one of them have been bad. It's just, again, congestion and no fever, nothing like that. No, breastfeeding helps with things like that, and the antibodies, and having 8 older siblings who bring home all the germs from all their activities. We have a ton of friends. We are not very big germaphobes. We do wash our hands, but we feel like if you go out and you expose your body to things, you get natural immunity. Guilt just kind of comes in, where it's like, for me, I want to continue breastfeeding, and part of me is also like, I don't want to be told that I have to stop, because now that I'm being told that I have to stop, I don't, like, now I want to breastfeed, which I already did before that because of everything else. But sorry, my thoughts are like, they're just all over the place. I just kind of wanted to share all that with y'all, because I know I'm not the only one in the entire world that has gone through this, or has gone through some of the things that we were experiencing alongside this journey of mine. I do want to take the time to share it and let other moms out there know that, hey, maybe you can relate to my story. And if that's the case, I'm sorry, because it has its ups, it has its downs. It's a crazy emotional ride. You're not alone. You're not alone. Feel free to always message me over on Instagram. And if you need a vent, I'm here. We will get these results back this week. We will get these results back next week, he said. I'm assuming these are the Sharpie marks. There's one that looks like right there, here, and here. These are not moles. Whatever it is, it's not moles. It's not freckles. It's not anything that I have. You can see the comparison. I would say that some of this is probably swollen from the biopsy itself. And it's pretty swollen regardless of the biopsy. I don't know how much of that is from the biopsy versus just my normal neck. It kind of, to me, looks like my normal neck. You can see a little bit of bruising starting right here, but really it just feels a lot of pressure and uncomfortable. It's gotten better throughout the day. I've had an ice pack on it literally since 20 minutes after I had it done, for several hours the entire time. And I think that made a really big difference. For the longest time, I couldn't turn my head to the side. It was like trying to turn my wrist to an angle where you can, and it just naturally stops. It was kind of like that. Like I just couldn't turn more than like this. It just would stop. Like it was so large, it felt like, and so much pressure that my head, literally my neck, could not turn. But now I can still feel it, like right here. But now it's fine. As fine as it can be for right now. He did pull out a lot of brown stuff from one of them. He said that usually that's a really good sign for that one. I'm praying. That's all I can do. That's it for now. Until we get those results, I will see y'all next time. Bye, YouTube.